Hi everybody and welcome to our first episode of Lulu's Place. My name is Christina and I'm here to start hosting this show that really focuses on paying respects to my grandfather, Fred Ubungan, who came here from the Philippines in 1927 and worked most of his life as a cook and did a great job of raising his family, and then later on giving the opportunity for his grandchildren and his great-grandchildren to have a wonderful life here in the United States. So this show is going to be about food and family, and we're going to be sharing a lot of different stories about cooking, things that happen in our family, and just getting an opportunity to share some of our different recipes. I am not a professional cook. I actually just love cooking. And with having a full-time job and coming home with a big family, I want us to be able to cook them healthy meals, not just healthy, but really great comforting foods. So you're going to have some healthy meals and some meals that are probably not as healthy, but food hopefully that you'll enjoy. So the first dish we're going to be making today is lumpia. And lumpia is a Filipino dish. If you're familiar with Chinese egg rolls, very similar. So the difference with lumpia is that it's something that we put together. There's lots of different meats and a lot of different versions of lumpia. Today we're going to be making chicken lumpia, and this was a request from some of my coworkers that really wanted to learn how to make lumpia. So we're going to go ahead and begin. Lumpia is not a very basic dish. It's one that's going to be a little bit more advanced, and hopefully we're going to be doing a variety of different levels of cooking. So the ingredients in lumpia that we're going to be using for this particular dish consist of cabbage, fresh green beans, shredded carrots. We're also going to be using some yellow onion and some peeled garlic. And then our meat for this dish is going to be chicken, since we're doing chicken lumpia. And I'm going to walk you through the process of actually cooking the ingredients, and then also show you how to roll your lumpia. So you're going to wrap all of these ingredients in a wrapper, and then we're going to go ahead and fry some lumpia. So let's go ahead and get started. So I've already prepped a lot of my ingredients, but I wanted to show everybody how I prep the ingredients and how I chop this, since there's a lot of people that may be doing this for the first time. So let's go ahead and start with the onion. And basically I used a medium-sized onion. This right here is about a half a cup of onion that we're going to be using today, chopped already. And just really quickly, I just cut the onion in half, and then I went ahead and I'm going to cut it in a quarter. And then I'm just going to go ahead and chop the onion across. I'm going to say that my grandfather had really great chopping skills. Unfortunately, I'm not as great of a chopper as he was as far as with the knife. But I'm going to go ahead and go across just like that. So you have a nice little cubes of onion. If you miss some, just go back in and chop that. And again, one more time, taking your onion, just cutting down, and then turning it around this way and cutting across the opposite direction, so you have little squares. Now if you wanted bigger pieces of onion, you could go ahead and just have more spacing in between each of your chops. So that's basically how you would go ahead and prep your onion. We're going to move that aside for a minute. Okay. The next thing we're going to cut is the cabbage. And the cabbage, I got a very large cabbage. Actually, in this dish, cabbage is the ingredient that you're going to use most of. So with the cabbage, I've cut it into smaller pieces. And you're just going to go across. So I just want to cross, similar to like what I did with the onion. So kind of across long, and then I'm going to go sideways and I'm going to cut it in smaller pieces this way. So again, kind of the similar size of the carrot. It can be a little bit bigger because this is really going to shrink down when we start to cook it. Okay. So there. That's how you're going to cut your cabbage. Okay. So we're just going to move this aside on the cutting board. Okay. So next ingredient is the fresh green beans, and I'm going to really emphasize for this recipe, using fresh vegetables is really essential because you want to use the fresh vegetables because they actually have a really good flavor, and we're going to use minimal seasoning. Okay. Okay, so with your green beans, one of the things that you're going to want to do is, so they're fresh green beans, you're going to want to go ahead and remove the top and bottom of it, and you're just going to take it with your finger and just snap it right off. So snap it just like that. I'll throw this in this bowl over here, and so again, you're going to get your green bean, you're going to snap off the tops. So this takes a little bit of time. For this recipe, I'm using 2 cups of green beans. And with lumpia, the nice thing about it is you can actually just make as much filling for it as you want. So if you know you're making it for a big party, you can go ahead and actually increase the amount of ingredients that you're going to use. Okay, so my green beans, I've went ahead and taken the ends off of each side of it. And I do a little bit of a cheat with this. I don't cut them individually. I just bunch them all together, so I line them up just like this. And not quite julienne style cutting, but a little angle, and I just go across slowly and cut it just like this. And don't worry about being like perfect as far as size. You might have some that are a little bit bigger. That's fine. It's not really going to make a difference. What you want to consider though when you're actually putting together your ingredients is once it cooks and shrinks down, that there's not any pieces that are too big, because remember this is going to be a filling, so you don't want necessarily someone to bite into a big piece of a green bean and have all the other ingredients small. So that's an example of how you would cut your green beans. So again, just across little chops, a little bit of a on an angle, on a slant. So that's an example of how you would go ahead and cut your green beans. The next ingredient we're going to be looking at doing is the carrots, which are the shredded carrots. Again, I've done this before when I was trying to rush, and I actually bought carrots that were pre-cut already and packaged, and it worked out okay, but they seemed to be a little bit drier when I was cooking them, and the flavor wasn't as good as actually grating my own carrots. So again, this dish, because there is minimal seasoning, the freshness of your ingredients really makes a big difference in the actual taste of your final product. Okay, so with the carrots, I'm going to go ahead and shred a carrot. And so I went ahead and I have these really big carrots that I purchased, which I like, especially if I'm going to go ahead and grate a carrot. I'm going to shred it down a little bit. They're easier to use with the grater, obviously. So I've already peeled a smaller one, actually the end of one that was pretty large. And I'm going to go ahead and I usually cut off the tips, and obviously you're going to cut off the top here, cut off the tip after you've peeled it. So if you're just going to peel, you're just going to peel across this way, get that all the skin off, and then you would go ahead and just cut the top and the end off. And that's basically, this is a part of one I already started. So you're just going to grate it, and this is a size grate that I usually use on the grater, so it comes out about this big, which is perfect when you're putting the carrots into lumpia. So I'm just going to go ahead and grate it. And this can get kind of messy. Usually I have carrots flying everywhere, but so go through and just grate down. And be careful when you're grating that you don't accidentally cut your hand, because it's not hard to do that. And then I'm going to get rid of these bigger pieces at this point. And then show you that's basically what your carrot should look like for your filling once you're done grating it. And so I wanted to make sure that I showed everybody examples of how to chop everything down, because I get questions about when I'm putting all the ingredients together. Cooking is one thing, but actually getting it all prepped and ready. Now with the chicken, depending upon what type of, if you like dark meat or white meat, I'm going to use for this recipe, I use chicken breast. So I boiled 2 large chicken breasts for about 35 minutes to 40 minutes. And when you're boiling your chicken, if you're not sure if it's ready, you can just go ahead and poke it a little bit with a fork to see if the texture seems to be cooked. You can also just take it out, slice a piece of it to see if the inside's cooked. And in this case, this is a piece of the chicken that I boiled earlier. With the chicken, all I did was cool it down, and then you're just going to shred it. Okay, so you're just going to shred the chicken down. Make sure you wait till it's cool. Sometimes I do this too quickly. I'm trying to make it really fast, and the chicken's really hot, so it makes it difficult to go ahead and get it done. But you're just going to basically just shred it by hand. And that's, you can shred as far down as you want. You can make it a little bit chunky if you want bigger pieces of chicken in your lumpia. I usually I shred it about to this size. So there's what your chicken looks like after it's shredded, which we have 2 cups there. So I have my pan on, and I put it on medium heat. Okay, so for the lumpia, I usually get a pretty good sized pot. I'm making a lot smaller version of the lumpia right now because usually I'll do a really big pot because I want to make a lot of these lumpias that I can freeze and later on you cook as a part of a different meal. So I freeze them and then take them out, and if the kids want a snack, or if I want a snack, or I want to include something as a part of a side dish in a meal, these are really a great way to make something ahead of time and then have something you can go ahead and fry later. So I'm going to use a little bit of olive oil, and I'm just going to drizzle probably about a couple of tablespoons of olive oil in there on, again, medium heat. Okay. And kind of swish that in there a little bit. Okay, so once the oil is nice and hot, you're going to go ahead and start the process of including your ingredients. So the first thing you're going to put in are the garlic. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a garlic crusher. And you want to make sure that the oil is not too hot, so I'm feeling this little bit that it's seeming like it's a teeny bit too hot, so we're going to lower that down for a minute. And with the garlic, what you're going to do is basically crush it. So you're going to I use our garlic crusher. Now if you don't have a garlic crusher, you could chop it down very fine, and that would work just as well. So I'm going to go ahead and crush about 4 cloves of garlic with the garlic crusher. And this garlic crusher I really love. I actually bought it a long time ago, so you can tell it's been pretty worn, but it's one that works good, and I've actually bought one that was newer and didn't crush the garlic as good as this one does. So and then you have your crushed garlic. And I'm going to go ahead and put this in. You can start to sizzle. I'm going to just stir it in there with the olive oil. Okay, and the next thing we're going to go ahead and grab is our onion. And again, this is about a half a cup of onion. And I'm going to go ahead and start stirring that in together with the garlic. Okay, so that's cooked down a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and grab the 2 cups of green beans that we previously had chopped and add that. And I'm going to go ahead and stir that together really well. And as you can see, one of the things I like to do with whenever I cook is I'm not really good about measuring things, but what I look at is balance. So if you look at the onion and the green bean, there's a nice kind of balance of the green with the white onion and garlic kind of mixed in there. Okay. And then there's going to be a lot more cabbage we're going to use. Now this is quite a bit of cabbage. This actually is a little bit less than 12 cups. I think it's about 11 cups. And what I'm going to do with this is I'm going to go ahead and put in about half of this right now and see if I want to use more. And that's the one thing. You can always decide if you wanted to use a little bit more cabbage or carrots, depending upon your taste. But we're going to add about half of this in right now. And start stirring it in so you can get a sense of how much. So again, that's approximately, I'd say about maybe 5½ cups of cabbage. That looks pretty good. And get a nice balance of color, so nothing seems to look out of balance as far as you have way too many green beans. And like I said, cabbage is something that I use more of in this recipe. Okay. And then next, again, about 2 cups of carrots. I'm going to stir that in really well. Okay, so there's a nice balance again, really pretty coloring. You have the green of the green beans, a nice dark green, and then you have a little bit of the light white and green with the cabbage and the nice orange in there. So there you go, it's a nice balance of color. So it's really pretty. Okay, and then the next thing you're going to go ahead and add is the chicken. Okay, so it's about 2 cups of chicken, shredded. Stir that in really well. So this is going to cook down really nice. And then for seasoning, I'm going to take some salt, and probably, depends on your taste bud. I try not to put too much salt in this, but maybe like 3 pinches of salt. And then about 2 little pinches of pepper. And then you're going to stir that. Now the other thing you can do, and since you previously had boiled the chicken, you have some chicken broth. And so what I'm going to do is I have a little bit of chicken broth here. that is from the chicken I boiled. And just to give it a little bit of moisture to help, I'm just going to pour just a little bit. I didn't pour the whole thing, so maybe like a 1/4 cup of chicken broth is good. You can kind of tell as it starts to soften up a little bit. Just a little bit. Not too much. You don't want, definitely do not want your filling to be wet. You want to dry it out a little bit, otherwise it's going to be more difficult to roll your lumpia if your wrapper gets really soggy. So that basically is your filling for the chicken lumpia. And you're going to go ahead and cook that down a little bit. And once it's all completed, you're going to cool it off, and then you're going to start the process of wrapping your lumpia. Okay, so now that the filling is done, this is what your filling is going to look like once it's cooked down. And so you're going to go ahead and use a spoon to scoop it into your wrappers. So this is basically what it looks like cooked down. If you want to make sure you have enough salt and pepper, you can go ahead and just take a taste of it prior to wrapping the lumpia to make sure it has the appropriate amount of salt and pepper. And so the lumpia wrappers that I'm going to be using today are this brand, Pamana lumpia wrappers. And so there's a lot of different variations of lumpia wrappers you can use. Actually, this brand also makes different types of lumpia wrappers. The one I'm using today, they're a little bit more thicker than the ones I normally use. The other ones have a thinner feel to them. They actually feel almost paper-like, like rice paper. These are a little thicker, and the reason why I'm using these today, they're easier to peel apart and easier to roll with. But in future shows, we may be using the other ones as well. So they come together, glued together. This package has 30 pieces, and most packages usually have about 30 pieces in there. And how you peel the lumpia wrapper is you're going to take it apart at the very edge, and you're just going to pull it apart gently. Now, don't pull too quickly when you're trying to pull them apart. Don't tear them apart too quickly, because if you do, you're going to tear the wrapper. So you want to find an edge that's easy to peel. This is an easy edge here, this one here. See, this one's a little bit glued together. So you want to find an easy edge, gently pull it. And when you're first doing this, just take your time. Don't try to get this done too quickly. And then that's what the wrapper looks like. We're going to do another one. Again, find an edge that's easiest to pull apart, and you're going to just slowly pull it apart, and I usually go around it just to get all the edges unglued. And then once all the edges are unglued, I'll just pull it down the middle. Okay, so that's the lumpia wrapper right there. Okay, so we're going to get ready to wrap the lumpia. And so how I wrap them, you can do them a couple of ways. You can go ahead and lay it flat as a square. Some of the wrappers, again, are circular. So you can also lay them in like a diamond shape and roll them this way. We're going to go ahead and lay them in a diamond. And then I'm going to get a large tablespoon of filling. And it depends. If you want to put a lot more filling in your lumpia wrappers, you definitely can. I like to make mine a little bit more petite. Some people make them really big. Some people make them really skinny. I make mine kind of medium size, I guess you'd call it. So your filling is not, maybe about an inch and a half or inch, probably it's about an inch away from the corner. And you're going to take the corner and you're going to tuck it in under the filling. So you can use your finger to kind of scoop it this way to push it against the wrapper. and then you're going to take the corner and you're going to tuck it in. Okay, so you have like this nice roll shape. And then I usually go over at least one, and then I use my fingers to make it a little bit tighter, and then I'm going to fold it across this way. And then take the other side and fold it across, just like that. And then I'm going to roll it. Make sure it's flat, and then I'm going to take a little bit of water and just wet the very edge. And there. These are the size I usually make. Okay? And then, so you have one already done. And we're going to do a few of these so you can get familiar with how to roll it. So again, I'm going to go ahead and get a big tablespoon of filling. I'm going to get my edge, use my fingers to kind of push the filling against the edges. I lift it up. I'm going to tuck that edge under, and then I have a roll like that. Okay. And then I'm going to go ahead and fold it across, and then again I'm going to fold it a second time across, and then I'm going to roll. Now, you know, they don't have to be the exact same size. Sometimes if I'm doing this really fast for a party, they're sometimes a little bit of a different size. But that's the second one. You see this one came out a little bit different because of the way I rolled it. But it's fine. As long as you glue the bottom together with the water, then you're fine. And then if you get, like, here I have a little bit of vegetable that I got on my hand. I just kind of take that off of there. Okay, so let's roll a couple more. Okay, that's a little bit more than I want. I'm going to go ahead and, again, scoop it up against the wrapper. And then tuck it in. Go to the side. Again, fold. Fold again. And then roll. And you want to make sure when you're rolling that you can keep it nice and tight. You don't want it to be loose. So make sure you have a nice roll. And then you glue it up. There. And this is probably the most challenging part of lumpia, is the rolling part of it. Just making sure that you're able to keep it together, doesn't fall apart. And these actually freeze really nicely. I put them in Ziploc bags and put them in the freezer, and then take them out for snacks for the kids. And then I fry them up. I mean, they can have them on the weekends, they can have them after school, and they're a nice meal. Okay, so we went ahead and rolled about 4 of those, and I'm going to roll one more. And now the filling that we made, it's a lot of filling. It's probably going to fill a little bit more than 30, just depending on about how much filling you actually place in the rolls. If you wanted bigger rolls, you could obviously do that. So I usually make a big batch of filling and probably grab, you know, a few packages of the lumpia wrappers. And okay, so there's your lumpia wrappers. Like I said, they're not all identical necessarily. Probably these are the ones that look the most alike, and then there's some that I've kind of doubled, but they're still going to come out really nice. So when you're done rolling your lumpias, and we're going to go ahead and start with these 5. The next thing you're going to do is you either want to freeze them for later, or you can go ahead and cook them. And we're going to go ahead and fry these right now. Okay, so we've preheated the oil to about medium. Make sure you don't have this on too hot, because otherwise you're going to get burnt, because I've done that before. I've put it on too hot and I've gotten burnt with the hot oil, so be very careful. So you're going to go ahead and put the lumpia in the oil. Now if these were frozen, these would take a little bit longer, and I probably wouldn't have the oil quite as hot because the inside would be frozen, and you'd want to go ahead and make sure that the inside cooked before the outside got too crispy. So I usually put it more on a medium oil to give it a chance for the inside to get defrosted. You don't want to take the lumpia wrappers, the lumpias, excuse me. You don't want to take the lumpia out and have it defrost outside, because otherwise the wrapper will get soggy. So what you want to do is take it out, fry them on a medium heat to make sure that the inside, because it's going to be frozen, has an opportunity to cook all the way through before you actually serve. Because I made the mistake before of having the oil too hot and then biting into it, and the outside's nice and crispy, but the inside's still a little bit frozen, so you want to be careful for that. So I'm frying these. These shouldn't take very long because obviously I'm frying them right after the filling has been cooked. We haven't refrigerated them yet, so the filling is still somewhat warm. And it usually takes a few minutes to cook the lumpia. So you just need to check it, like that's still too light, so you're going to want to go ahead and just pay attention and make sure that you keep an eye on the stove. Okay, so this has been cooking for a couple of minutes, and we're going to go ahead and turn them over. And you'll see they have like a nice golden brown. Color to them. And those are going to take maybe another minute or so because the oil is nice and hot right now. Again, the filling is already warm inside, so when we roll them, there's no need to be concerned about the insides being frozen a little bit for those that you may make and freeze for a later date. I really do suggest actually making enough so you can freeze them, because this is, like I said, a great way to have a snack or even have like a side dish for dinner. Or sometimes we've even just had these for dinner if we're really in a rush. Okay. I'm going to turn that off. What you're going to do next is you're going to want to line a plate with some paper towels to help drain the excess oil. And when that's ready, you see that's nice and golden brown. Okay, these are perfect. Okay. Just a minute. Okay, so now our lumpia is done. The next step of finishing this dish is to make the sauce for the lumpia. Okay, so the sauce consists of apple cider vinegar, and right here I have about a 1/3 cup of apple cider vinegar. And then I'm going to take 1 large clove of garlic and use my garlic crusher again, and I'm going to crush some garlic in here. Okay, so the garlic's in there. And then I'm going to get some soy sauce, about a tablespoon, and I'm going to add some soy sauce to the vinegar. Okay. And then I'm going to get some pepper and get a pinch of pepper and put that in there. And then I'm just going to go ahead and mix it up. And that's the sauce that we're going to use for that. And you can also use like a sweet and sour sauce if you'd like to do that. Vinegar is traditionally what we eat lumpia with most of the time, so we're going to go ahead and use the vinegar dipping sauce today. So I'm going to grab one of the lumpia so you can take a look and see what it looks like inside. And that's what it looks like. You can see the chicken, the green beans, cabbage, carrots in there. It's still really nice and warm. And so what you're going to do is dip and serve this. And usually what I do is have the dipping sauce out with a spoon, and people can come over and just go ahead put some sauce right on top of lumpia. Okay, well, I want to thank you for joining us for our first episode of Lulu's Place. It was great to have the opportunity to cook with you today. So I want to hope that you guys come back, and if you have any questions about the episode, or you'd like to share some recipes or some of your own stories, feel free to send us an email at lulusplace@yahoo.com. So thank you for tuning in to Lulu's Place. We really appreciate you coming in to watching the show and cooking with us today. If you'd like to go ahead and provide us with any comments or feedback, or any recipes that you're interested in watching us try to cook here on the show, please send us an email at www.lulusplacesf@yahoo.com. Thanks for watching.